Let's talk about the least controversial topic in all of Final Fantasy XIV, job design. Second only to maybe Dawntrail discourse. With the next expansion, Evercold set to fundamentally change job design across the board with Evolved Mode, people are either really excited or very cautious and worried. So let's take a look at the information we have and talk about one of, if not arguably the most important element to an MMORPG, how the thing plays. Hello everybody, it's your boy Jmulls. And let's take this sky high. So what even is Evolved Mode? Being introduced in the next expansion Evercold, Evolved Mode is an entire different way to play your job. Now, how different it's going to be will vary based on your job. Dragoon is basically a whole new job, whereas Paladin is going to be roughly the same, but with some revisions here and there. For instance, now it's going to be able to counterattack. But from what they showed at FanFest, there are seemingly two big pillars for Evolved Mode, emphasizing individuality, so job uniqueness and identity, stuff like that, and also just having fewer hotkeys you have to like juggle around. Far more real estate on your keyboard, or I guess your controller. They also mentioned different rotations here, though to me the two big points of emphasis that they talked about were individuality and reducing button bloat. Personally speaking, I think changes like this right here are rather interesting, whereas right now you have two separate buttons, Holy Spirit and Clemency, but in Evolved Mode, in an effort to reduce the amount of buttons you have to have on your keyboard, just combine these two abilities into one and have it be contextual based on who you're targeting. If you're targeting an enemy, then it'll be Holy Spirit and do damage. If you're targeting yourself or an ally, well then it'll be Clemency and heal. My one main concern with this entire system is that I don't know if I trust Final Fantasy XIV and really MMO players overall to read, because what we're doing here is I can only imagine taking the tooltips for Clemency and Holy Spirit and just combining them like a Yu-Gi-Oh card into one here. It's like I am concerned that some of these tooltips are going to be longer than the Bible or ReZero, and it really makes me wonder if people that are just starting out either a new job or they're new to the game and they start with Evolved Mode, by the time they get like higher level, are they just not going to press some things because they're not going to be bothered to read? To be fair, we probably have that same issue right now, so is it really a greater issue than what we already have? Time will tell. And they give a bunch of different examples, but I really want to focus on this one because this is like the focal point for a lot of conversation right now, and that is the combo system. So right now, a lot of jobs have a 1-2-3 combo. You press 1, then you go to 2, then you cap it out with 3. Maybe you get some gauge for your job or some kind of resource or whatever. Well, with Evolved Mode, we're compressing that into just a single button here, and this button will cycle through your combo. So instead of 1-2-3, now it's 1-1-1. Now, I imagine there's a lot of people out there, especially those who may not be familiar with Final Fantasy XIV, haven't played the game, or maybe they're just relatively new, and they may be going, well, why would that be controversial? That just sounds like a good change, right? It's like we're taking 3 different buttons that kind of do the same thing and making it only one. That sounds like a win to me. I would agree, but I see the logic on the other side here. I do think pressing 1-2-3 feels different than just 1-1-1. 1-1-1 is the same thing. It's a little bit monotonous. It is a little bit different having to go from 1-2-3. And also there is another potential failure state there. If you go 1-2-2, you just screwed up your combo. You can argue there is a matter of skill expression there. My counter argument to that is that while that is correct, is it worth it? Is it good for the game? Now, this branches off into a larger conversation in regards to friction. A lot of people will say, this is simplifying the game, this is simplifying job design. We are removing a point of friction, and we are moving the game towards a more brain-dead playstyle. I understand that way of thinking because I do think overall, games like World of Warcraft, especially WoW, and also Final Fantasy XIV over the years have eroded too much friction from the experience, where in an individual case-by-case basis, you could make the argument for something's removal. But over time, when you remove all these points of friction, you're kind of removing texture from the experience, and things can become far too streamlined, or just when all these changes are taken in totality, it produces a game state that probably is less than what we had before. I think that's one of the reasons we've gotten to the current state of job design in Dawntrail with Final Fantasy XIV. Heck, one of my favorite jobs that I've ever played was Dark Knight when I first started back in Stormblood. That job doesn't exist anymore, and largely because of, well, a series of changes based on what I was just talking about. Removing individual layers of friction just over time that all add up with each other. And also a substantial rework back in Shadowbringers. But still, if you want to hear war stories of the glory days, go talk to any samurai main that's been playing it since Stormblood. I think it's important to differentiate between points of friction that do add to the overall experience and give a game texture and are able to create beneficial moments for the overall experience that could be immersive or just engaging versus this. Because to me, if this is the straw that breaks the camel's back when it comes to job design, and like this is the moment when things become far too simplistic, we've already reached a point of no return a long time ago when it comes to job design, where things just need to be upended and completely rerouted. I would vastly prefer having a system based on this, and we make the job far more engaging and fun with every other ability than possibly compromising that because we want to have all these buttons be separate. That on the far left there, I understand the benefits, and even to some degree, when we are strictly talking between these two things, I would prefer the left. But I think the right gives you a better framework to build a better job off of. Now, I can't talk for White Mage because I'm not a healer, so I'll leave that conversation to healers. I'll talk about DPS and tanking though. When it comes to Paladin, it does look roughly the same. A few key differences. Paladin being a main tank with Evolve Mode, because for Evolve Mode, tanks can be main tanks or off tanks depending upon which job you are. Paladin being a main tank will be able to counter enemy attacks for additional damage. Basically, enemy attacks can like proc an ability that you can use, and I think it's pretty cool. Does kind of remind me of the Blackest Night in a way. I do wonder how they're going to handle that, but still, like, I think a system like that overall to me is more mechanically interesting when it comes to how can we make this tank feel unique and different to everything else, rather than let's waste 3 keybinds because we only have so much real estate. Let's waste 3 of them just for essentially the same effect because it feels slightly different. I think Dragoon is the perfect microcosm for how I feel about Evolved. I'm very much optimistic about it. There is a part of me that's a bit cautious in terms of, will this be a case of it being really dang cool initially, but then we hit a wall, or at least I hit a wall, and it just becomes hyper repetitive after a point. So when it comes to Dragoon, it's basically a rework. It has a larger focus on positionals. Sinister on the left, Dexter on the right. Get both of those, then you get Heavensward for the back. You can see their little like dev gauge here. This is not going to be how it looks in the final product, by the way. This is just for them developing it. And they essentially combined high jump with true north and called it vengeful jump, and it works for like 1 input, the true north component, by the way. But they gave it a unique element here that really harkens back to how Final Fantasy Dragoons have felt for a long time. You get this sky high thing. So after he does his little combo here for Life or Blood of the Dragon, he goes all the way up in the air here, and then he slams back down and gets a follow-up attack. It looks awesome, right? That is a really cool piece of kit for Dragoon. It feels like a Final Fantasy Dragoon of old, where you would be up in the air for a turn, maybe more, before you slam down for a big attack. And one of the things they talked about rather extensively here is that they want Sky High to have some kind of mitigation for the Dragoon. That could be a really cool piece of kit to make Dragoon feel unique. Like, imagine if your tank dies, there's a tower or something that needs to be soaked. Well, you're down a tank, have the Dragoon go out and soak it with Sky High. Yeah, maybe that'd be a little bit too conditional. Maybe that specific instance won't see that much play. But when it does happen, though, it's gonna feel pretty dang good, isn't it? Now, they did say it's not gonna be full mitigation, though they kind of wanted it to be, because that'd be almost certainly busted. But I think the number they threw around for where they're at right now is like 90%. I highly doubt it's gonna remain at that number, but still, even if it's anywhere around it, that's a very powerful piece of defensive kit. But I do think it's a fair reaction to have when you see a hotbar this barren for Dragoon of all jobs to be a little bit concerned about the longevity of it. This does sound cool, and it does really look cool. Like, especially in this gameplay right here. Look how dang cool Dragoon looks. Dragoon has always looked cool, right? Don't get me wrong. But just look at how vicious it looks. It looks responsive, it looks really dang fun, and it also looks rather quick. Now, granted, there's 2 Dragoons on the screen here, but still, it looks really dang good. Then you go up in the air, you wait around for a bit, and you slam down. My main concern here with, like, that ability specifically is, when you do that for the 10,000th time, is that going to get old? Will you just hit the button and basically go... until you've come back down and can play the game again. I think that's a valid concern, but I think the pros outweigh the cons here, because I highly doubt any other job is going to have something that feels like that, nor should they. Like, that feels unique to Dragoon and gives it identity and flavor. That is something that I think is a really welcome sign for Final Fantasy XIV. And then they showed off bod gameplay, and like, look at this, it's so dang cool, especially with like the camera and the ability to like jump around a bunch if he's going to do it here. Yeah, like, look at bod. They made bod, of all things, look like an absolute badass. Like, this looks so fun. I kind of want to play bod. I didn't think I'd say that anymore. This looks really dang good. And for me, when it comes to job design and class design in MMORPGs, I don't particularly care about how hard or complicated a job or class is. I care more about how mechanically satisfying and fun it is. So while yes, 1, 2, 3 becoming 1, 1, 1 is simpler, if you surround that with a bunch of actually interesting things to do, then I think it's a net win. I think it's fair to be a bit concerned about the removal of things like raid buffs because of the removal of the 2-minute meta. Sure, that's a fair thing to be worried about, especially for party-based gameplay. If they find ways to add synergy with other jobs in a way that isn't just, all right, guys, let's line up our cooldowns, press them on 3, 1, 2, 3, woo! If they find ways to make that feel distinct based on the job you are, and also possibly feel actually mechanically satisfying, again, I think that would be a win. And I think something like a Dragoon jump with Sky High could be something along those lines. That is a moment in your gameplay where you can feel really dang cool on occasion. And I think that's something Final Fantasy XIV really has needed for a while, because it's all well and good to talk about how jobs play in like an ultimate and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, that is important. Most people aren't doing content like that. Jobs should be fun and engaging in all styles of content, not just usable, fun and engaging. Now, what people find fun and engaging, that's going to vary person to person because, well, that's subjective. And it goes back to an argument I've always brought up. This is why one of the elements I thought Final Fantasy XIV has needed for a long time is more job individuality. A wide, or at least a wider, range of play styles. Maybe you don't end up enjoying Samurai, but maybe you enjoy Dragoon, and maybe you don't enjoy Dragoon, but you enjoy Red Mage, or you enjoy Monk, or you enjoy Ninja. There should be a variety of different playstyles available and on offer so that you can find something that fits your niche, that fits your preferences. Evolved mode, to me, from what we have seen so far, admittedly, it's not too much. We've only seen a few jobs here that are highly subject to change, leans more in that direction, and I'm positive about that. And circling back to the 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1 thing, I think if the concern is that this could indicate a larger shift to make gameplay overall far too simple, and then because of that, it would become hyper repetitive and boring, I can understand that concern. For this change specifically, though, I think some people drastically overvalue 1, 2, 3 compared to 1, 1, 1. Like, yeah, I think there is a difference between 1, 2, 3 and 1, 1, 1. It's not that extreme, though. I mean, like, come on, we have to be able to take a step back here and just say, like, if this is the make it or break it thing, that's kind of silly. Yeah, people will have their opinions, but still, this should never, ever, 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 ever be the thing holding job/class design together. And I think the benefits of just condensing everything into one hotkey will drastically outweigh the pros of what 1, 2, 3 bring to the table. If job design is bad going forward, it's not because of this. It's up to them to make everything else actually engaging and fun. And they can go about doing that in a variety of ways, and I welcome to see them do that. They've shown a bit of it with the FanFest. I want to see even more, though. Show me what Reaper looks like. Mainly because I want to main Reaper in the next expansion, because that's kind of the job for the Warrior of Light. I also kind of like Zenus. Here's where you come in. Leave a comment down below with what was your favorite job ever in Final Fantasy XIV. I want the expansion and the job here. For me, I will never forget Dark Knight and Stormblood. Man, I was new to the game, and that thing, man, I miss it. And also, what do you want to see out of your job going into Evercold with the Evolve changes? Or if you made one of the ones they showed, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? Want to hear your thoughts, to hear your opinions, and also to hear your perspectives. While you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. And with the reveal of Evercold and the release of patch 7.5, you guys have some absolutely crazy, possibly on point theories for the future of this game's story. You know I had to react to them. Want to get in on what's going on, what we're talking about? Check out this video right here for more. Stay safe, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.